to the Speculative Podcast. I'm Joe, and here with James. So for the first part, we're going to be discussing the Expanse series, and we started right from the beginning with Leviathan Wakes, the first book in the series. Author is James S.A. Corey, which is actually two authors. One is
James and Corey.
I think that's actually their middle names.
Oh.
And then S.A. I think is like the initials of one of their daughters. I'm not sure who. Yeah, it looks like...
it's two people now?
Yeah. So it says, meet the author. James S.A. Corey is the pen name of fantasy author Daniel Abraham and Ty Frank.
Don't know either.
George R.R. Martin's assistant. They both live in Albuquerque, New Mexico.
I'm not hearing anything good here.
But, alright, so, synopsis of the book. So for this first podcast, we read the first fifth of the book, so chapters 1 through 10. So each podcast, we're going to try to do a fifth of each book, probably rounding out the total of 45 total podcasts for the entire series, books 1 through 9. Alright, so synopsis of the book. Welcome to the future. Humanity has colonized the solar system, Mars, the moon, the asteroid belt, and beyond. But the stars are still out of our reach. James Holden is XO of an ice miner making runs from the rings of Saturn to the mining stations of the belt. When he and his crew stumble upon a derelict ship, the Scopuli, they find themselves in... Is it Scopuli or Scopuli?
I didn't read it that way. Either way there.
Scopuli. They find themselves in possession of a secret they never wanted. A secret that someone is willing to kill for. And kill on a scale unfathomable to Jim and his crew. War is brewing in the system unless he can find a way, or find out who left the ship and why. And in the second part, Detective Miller is looking for a girl. One girl in a system of billions. But her parents have money and money talks. When the trail leads him to the Scopuli, the rebel sympathizer Holden... What, you don't like Scopuli?
You said it 4 times, 4 different ways.
I don't know. Do you know anybody that says that regularly?
No. Nope.
When the trail leads him to the Scopuli and the rebel sympathizer Holden, he realizes that this girl may be the key to everything. Holden and Miller must thread the needle between the Earth government and the outer planet revolutionaries, and the secret corporations. Oh, they're not secret. Secretive corporations. And the odds are against them. But out in the belt, the rules are different, and one small ship can change the fate of the universe. Alright, so we did the first 10 chapters. How do you feel so far about the plot?
I don't think there's anything really that, like, it's good. But,
Well, like, compare it to Star Wars.
I need more yet. Compared to Star Wars?
Yeah.
I never read. There was no original Star Wars book. So, like, the world of Star Wars was already founded for me when I started reading the, thanks to Disney, non-existent expanded universe.
Well, I mean, like, as far as the universe goes compared to Star Wars, I mean, I guess we're not far enough into it yet. Maybe I'll wait until we're a couple books in.
It's clearly developing, but like where we stopped, it seems like we're gonna finally start to get a serious look at what's going on right now. It's all just still being, I don't know, founded and moving in a direction. I don't think we got enough.
Yeah. And the opening scene...
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. And I feel like the opening scene, we probably won't
Fresh face? Like, what the fuck was that?
Yeah, we probably won't get into
Please, I'd love some more, but that's not going to happen.
Yeah, I have a feeling that's not going to be explained in even this book. I think we're going to probably have to wait further down.
Really?
That's my
You don't think they'll tie that up in this book at all? Or at least give me more than just, hey, it looks like there's some hamburger on an engine. Ha ha! Wait, no. She thought it was vegetation?
At first, but I think she changed her mind after...
Well, when it turned and spoke to her.
Yeah.
Did she get Super Meat Boy absorbed?
Well, I think it was one of her crewmates, but I don't know if she knew
It was
who
her captain.
Yeah, it was the captain. That's right. Yeah, I mean, what do you think? Do you think they'll wrap it up at the end of this book?
I don't know.
I mean, it's a 9-book series, unless each... Like I said, I didn't read it because I didn't want to spoil too much, so I don't know if each story is self-contained or if this is one long narrative. Like,
no, that's fair.
But I guess we'll find out.
The Dresden Files in it.
So her ship
overall
is...
overall story, and then a whole bunch of one-book-size stories that feed into a bigger picture.
I guess we'll find out. So yeah, Julie Mao, that's who it was.
Yeah.
And the Scopuli, or Scopuli.
I really think it's...
Scopuli?
I've been saying it in my mind.
Scopuli.
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 Yeah. Pewli, though, like pew pew.
Well, isn't that what happened to it?
No.
Didn't somebody get thrown out of an airlock? I could have sworn that's what
Someone
happened.
did get thrown. That's not pew pew. That's just.
Okay. Fair enough. Yeah. So she was in a storage locker for 8 days.
Yeah.
Just soaking in her own fluids.
They say storage locker. I'm imagining that's barely bigger than like a gym class locker room kind of locker.
No, I think it was bigger than that. I think it was maybe about the size of that closet.
It seemed like she was saying she didn't really have much room to move around, so she pretended to be dead and just used gentle fingertip touches to keep herself
from making noise. Yeah.
So to me, that was like, okay, it's a small fucking room.
Yeah.
And so in my head, I'm like not even bathroom stall large. But I guess bathroom stall. I could see bathroom stall being. I don't know.
Yeah, I think bathroom stall is probably a fair assessment. Either way, not important to the plot. But yeah, not much to go on. Just this was sort of like a. This is where I kind of feel like.
None of that mattered.
Well,
None of that mattered.
It will eventually.
Yes, sure.
I think
where
it's
we're
like
at now. I could never have read those pages.
This is where I can say
and
that
be perfectly all right.
This is where I think that the guy being the assistant to George R. R. Martin comes into play.
Fuck George R. R. Martin.
But yeah, I know. Is that just what you're going to say every time his name is brought up?
Yes, 100%. Scumbag piece of crap.
But yeah,
probably not a scumbag, but still, scumbag.
From what I hear, he's friendly.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah,
I need him to be a scumbag so I can maintain my hatred.
Similar introduction in Game of Thrones. Where
we saw how that turned out.
Well, we didn't see how it turned out. Isn't that why you're angry?
That's why there was sarcasm on that statement.
But anyway, yeah, she breaks out, finds the crew gone, even the people that had captured the ship were gone. Head of one of her captain pokes out of it accumulated biomass, asking or begging for help.
He doesn't poke out, just his face does.
Yeah.
And then it makes it sound like the biomass, as you just called it, was like the size of a gymnasium wall, and his head was still the size of a head.
Oh, yeah, so head pops out, end scene. And I have a feeling we're probably not going to see her again for the rest of at least the book.
Her? Yeah, I don't know.
I just had that feeling. I don't
think we'll see her again at all. She's been absorbed.
You thought she was absorbed?
She's gotta be. How do you get away? It's the size of a flaming fucking wall, and it ate everybody else on the damn ship.
How do you know that?
And then sealed itself in.
Well, how do you know that? That's what I want to know. How do you know that it can do that themselves, and the crew wasn't just turned into that by whoever took over?
Because it sealed itself from the inside.
Why did they throw somebody out of an airlock then?
I don't know.
Yeah, we probably.
I feel like that was just to make you think that it was pirates, to lead into the clearly not pirates.
Yeah.
I will say this: the guy that got chucked out the airlock, best ending out of everybody on that ship, probably.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like to me.
You got off lucky, buddy.
Yeah, so then chapters go every other person.
Yeah.
And I'm actually convinced this is... I have no proof of this, but I'm convinced that probably, since this is two authors, one wrote from the perspective of Holden and the other one wrote from the perspective of Miller.
Think so?
Yeah, I think that's how they split up the writing.
Okay.
So, first part we'll talk about Holden. So, they work for a company called Pure and Clean, which sounds so goofy that it almost realistic at that point. Ice hauler Canterbury, because they call it the Cant. Intercepts a distress signal from...
It's a place, though. Canterbury is an established place. Like, so it's named after a place on Earth.
Yeah.
So why would you call it?
Because I don't often hear people say Canterbury either. So, that's just...
You're a lit major. You've never heard of Canterbury Tales?
I've read Canterbury Tales, but the only voice I'm hearing while reading it is my own.
You've called it Canterbury Tales?
I don't know. When he calls it the Cant, and I kept calling it the Cant, or kept calling it the Cant in my mind, so... Very well. Canterbury, fair enough. Gets a message from the Scopuli.
That's Scopuli as well.
Scopuli. So they got a distress signal from it. Let's see here. We got an away team, or on the Canterbury, an away team. It looks like the people that went were James Holden, the
second in command.
Yeah, second in command at that point. Naomi Nagata and Amos Burton. They're both engineers.
Yep.
And then a medical technician, Shed Garvey, and then a pilot, Alex Kamal, intercept. So they go off in their shuttle the night to go investigate. Scopuli is obviously powerless. And then they found a distress signal emanating from a beacon with the Mars Congressional Republic Navy, MCRN, battery in it.
Yep.
So the team, they suspect pirates.
Suspiciously, obviously marked battery.
Yeah. Well, we'll see.
Doesn't feel like a setup at all. That's got a belt.
Yeah, I'm sure it's going to be... I'm sure this is all planned out, just to protect whatever that mass was, I guess. So they... I guess they didn't find anything. They suspected pirates. They decided not to risk boarding. So they start to head back. But then all of a sudden, a bunch of ships come out of stealth. I guess the original plan was that they thought that they were just regular missiles, so they were going to try to survive the explosion and then just evacuate them. But they turned out to be nuclear weapons and vaporize the ship.
Yeah.
So, how are your thoughts on that scene? Were you expecting anything like that? I was expecting...
I didn't, because I didn't realize that the concept of nuclear weapons was a thing in space that they would go with, if that makes sense. So,
yeah,
you thought it was going to be more futuristic. Torpedoes, yeah.
Well, I think the authors wanted to try to establish versus, super far out, like galaxy traveling science fiction. They wanted to keep it more grounded, like our beginnings. And actually, I read this. The guy that wrote, you'll have to forgive me, his name. The guy that wrote The Martian.
No, I never read it, never saw it, never cared.
Andy Weir, I think is his name. Andy Weir is the author of The Martian. Anyway, there was, apparently the two met up and they agreed upon this being in the future of that universe.
Really?
Yeah. So apparently,
So now I got it. Great. Okay.
I don't know if you have to.
Yes,
but,
I do.
Yeah. So I read that somewhere. I don't know. I don't know if Andy Weir. I mean, it sounded like Andy Weir was all for it. So yeah. So I guess The Martian is the future of that. But
The future. I thought this is the future.
This
of the
is the
Martian.
future of
Okay.
The Martian. Sorry.
I was like, well, then I can't read that. I'll know it.
Yeah. No, The Martian's definitely only like maybe 10 years from now. I don't know if they ever specify the year in the book.
Yeah, I don't know.
But
This is the first time anybody said anything about it that made me semi-interested. Hiccups.
I mean, the movie's good. Did you see the movie?
No. Didn't care at all.
Why? What about it?
Because
turning
people
out?
hyped it up, and like I got
That doesn't mean you have to. Don't
I
let
have-
yourself be affected by that.
enough time to do only so many things that are fun. And so I look at that and I go, that is not nearly interesting enough for me to care to give up what I would be doing with that time otherwise.
Fair enough. Yeah, I guess you're right. But yeah, I wasn't. So I guess the nuclear weapons is sort of like just to give you
Yeah, I mean,
a sense that we're still like, our own future versus like a fantastical future.
well, I mean, if there was a lack of nuclear weapons, it doesn't mean that it's still not our future. It just means we moved on or found something else that works, or they're using plastic bullets from plastic guns, for instance. I mean, it's not far-fetched from now, but it's not.
It's probably cheaper.
I mean, you can do it now. You can 3D print very low-use firearms with plastic projectiles.
Interesting.
You didn't know that?
I mean, I didn't know for sure. I had a feeling that it was possible, but I never gave it much thought.
They don't last very long.
I'm assuming not. You could probably fire once before your gun melts.
Using what, traditional ammunition?
Oh, I thought you were talking about the gun and the bullets being both 3D printed.
Yeah, you can do that. Yeah. So why would it melt?
Isn't it like the resin? Doesn't it melt?
Well, it depends what kind of printing you're doing, but everything I've seen, those would be filament printers. I don't think I've ever seen or read or heard about anybody trying to do it with a resin. But at the same time, there are resin materials. They resin print teeth. You can certainly use a material that can withstand some heat. A lot of times, from what I've read, they warp. They don't melt.
Yeah.
You don't end up with a straight barrel anymore because nothing is as... Obviously, your materials aren't as strong as steel. But
Yeah, I don't remember. I mean, I guess I didn't really pick up on it, but I guess now that you mention it, they did mention plastic bullets.
yeah, because it won't pierce... I don't remember the phrase he used. It basically won't pierce the external shielding and whatnot.
Okay.
But the other end of it is like traditional ammunition, and I believe Holden calls it out when they're first trying to go into the scopuli. Traditional ammunition relies on the gunpowder charge, and then from what they described, all that does is supply enough force to shoot you back the opposite direction.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So, surprise! And now you're gone. Just floating forever. Obviously not forever, but...
How'd you feel about the space drugs?
The space drugs, the needles that...
You have to take in order to...
I don't understand what's supposed to be going on there.
Because apparently the engines are...
Yeah, the thrust.
Constant motion, so it's just like every ship's length they travel, they can I guess, double the speed, and then as they're halfway to something, they have to reverse the thrusters to slow down.
Yep. No, I don't. I I didn't understand I didn't understand what the drug was supposed to be doing.
Because apparently, if they
made
go
them capable of withstanding the force, is it just like a steroid?
I don't think they explained it.
Okay.
I mean, they just explained that you need to take it if you want to.
Yeah.
If you
My mind went to like super steroid kind of deal.
I mean, I'm sure that's what they are. So,
I think he calls it out as like a steroid too in his writing. But okay, just not medically inclined to really understand what is viable there.
I don't think they explained it yet. Maybe they will later, but so now Holden is now captain of the night. Broadcast. He basically, I think he broadcasts a message detailing the destruction of Canterbury.
Yep.
And implicates the Mars Congressional Republic Navy in there, and he basically broadcasted like an open broadcast that can't be controlled.
Yeah.
So anybody can intercept it.
Everybody. Yeah. Just send it out in that direction.
Yeah. So then he calls, I guess, his manager and instructs them to meet up with the Mars Congressional.
No. There's a lawyer.
Oh yeah, the lawyer.
That's immediately how I knew it was going to be scummy. It was a lawyer.
Yeah, that's right.
A corporate lawyer.
Corporate lawyer.
Fuck this guy. Whatever he says to do, I'm doing the exact opposite.
Well, that's what they were discussing.
On principle, I know.
Well,
on principle, I am. Oh, you want me to do this because it's good for your bottom dollar? I'm out because it's not good for me.
Well, yeah, they were getting nervous because I guess it is the flagship is from Mars, so.
No, it's from the Martian Navy, but it's from Jupiter. It's like their Jupiter. It's sort of like how America has a Pacific Fleet and Atlantic Fleet.
Oh,
it's from their Jupiter Fleet. It's just their Jupiter Fleet flagship kind of deal.
Yeah.
It is the Martian Navy, but it's not from Mars.
Yeah, and they were all nervous about that, obviously.
It makes me think the Martians are douchebags.
Maybe not.
I mean, to a certain extent, all of
the book is sort of giving us
our perspectives are that everybody further out are getting dookied on, while everyone closer to Earth and Mars are.
Wasn't sure if they would get like that cliche with it, like Mars being the god of war. Of course, they started this. But yeah, I guess while they were heading towards they were having doubts, but I guess they ultimately decided that they were going to cooperate.
Yeah, after sending out that second broadcast.
Yeah.
Oh, we're entering your ship, but everybody knows it now, so you can't just make us disappear.
Yeah, which, I guess was smart, but they got yelled at, I believe.
Yeah.
And they got a message. Yeah, they got a message from Fred Johnson, de facto leader of the Outer Planet Alliance, or OPA. OPA. Were you saying OPA in your head, or were you just?
I was saying OPA.
OPA.
It needs a second P.
And they went into his backstory.
I wonder if you make that a drinking game as you're reading every time you see OPA. Just.
Yeah, you won't finish the book, I'm sure.
No doubt my resilience. At some point, there's going to be enough in my system that I will be reading significantly slower, and it will wear off.
Yeah. And eventually you'll just be like, Opa, that's fun to say. So anyway, yeah, Fred Johnson, nicknamed the Butcher of Anderson Station. They get into his backstory.
Yep. I think John called that out. It's another short story. Are we going to read those?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, if we're, we'll probably, I probably won't try and, like, mix them in chronologically. I was going to do, like, we'll read these.
Is that in a book like these are?
Yeah, there's a whole compilation
Okay.
that's about this size. What we could do, sometimes I like to do that. I'll, like, save it to read right before the last book. Because I think in publication order, I like to read in publication order just in case, because...
The first time, yeah.
Similar to, like, Robert Jordan, what I'm hearing from Robert Jordan's series, if you read New Spring first, you're either going to have things spoiled for you or not going to know what the hell's going on. Similar deal, I think.
Yeah, I can see that. I was already very deep in the series when it came out, so
Yeah.
9 or 10, I think.
Whenever I read the series, I plan to read Eye of the World first, and then right before I start Sanderson's completion, I was going to read New Spring, like in between.
The books for a bit there get kind of bleh.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
It might be a good call to mix it in there, in the middle of the bleh, just to break up the bleh.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I don't hear the same thing for Expanse. So.
Well, yeah.
So maybe we'll have the.
I only have one guy who's raving about it, but I only have one guy who's talking about it. So.
Yeah, I mean, I heard a lot about it. I just kept seeing it on the shelf. The artwork is not the greatest. It kind of looks like generic.
It's not bad.
But
you should see some of the artwork from the sci-fi novels from the 70s and 80s. Holy crap.
yeah, but it's charming though. I think it's fun. Especially like the 70s fantasy books.
In the same way that remembering the taste of Runts candy is charming, but I ain't gonna eat Runts candy anymore because I know it's gross.
Yeah,
when I was a kid, it was great, but now it's charming.
It'll shatter your teeth. If shattering your teeth is charming. Anyway, your thoughts on Fred Johnson and his backstory. You just read it right before the podcast, so you probably got it fresher in your mind.
So, his backstory.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is gonna be weird. You ever play Mass Effect?
For a little bit. I've been meaning to.
He feels very much like the main character of Mass Effect, where when you're making it, you make him a hero or you make him a tragic hero. Something good happens and something bad happens, and that's very much what it seems like there.
Okay.
Like he was like on the rise. He policed really well, kept the smugglers and the crime down. Smugglers are crime, so I should have just said it once, but whatever. And then he was put into another place and things went fucking terrible. And yeah, I got it. I'm also, though... So what's really suspicious with it so far, right, is that he's the leader... He's not the leader. He's a strong voice in his words. Has a strong voice in the OPA council. But he's got some notoriety among everyone in the Belt and Out. Got some notoriety from everyone in, was it the Earth Navy?
Yeah.
So he probably has some notoriety in the Martian Navy too, just by word of mouth of what he did or didn't do. Seems like probably his downfall event made its way to everything, so everybody everywhere has seen that kind of deal, right?
Yeah, I got his backstory right here. Fred Johnson started his rise to fame.
You're gonna read it?
Yeah, I'm just reading from the book.
Why? It's like a page.
I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'll skip things around. But yeah, Fred Johnson started his rise to fame with a series of high-profile captures of the Belt Pirates during one of the periods of tension between Earth and Mars that seemed to happen.
Oh, it was between Earth and Mars, okay.
Yeah.
But
it says until, and he was, you know, very much everybody from the inner planets loved him until Anderson Station.
Yeah.
Do you want to sum up Anderson Station?
You had a bunch of guys revolt and murdered them all. His units murdered them all.
Yeah.
Not unlike... No, it doesn't matter.
No,
It's not matter. It's going to point to a real, like an American event, historically protest in the coal mines, we bombed the shit out of them.
Oh, okay.
Instead of allowing them to protest and boycott, we just killed them all. Not them all. Killed the majority of them. I'm trying to remember the name of the mine. I think it's actually named after the mine, and I don't remember the event. Doesn't matter. Anyway. But they were pissed off at their conditions because they were... The corporation that owned the place, go figure, wanted more profit. That seems very relatable.
Yeah, it sounds pretty realistic.
And so they started charging people for their air to a point where no, maybe that was the first event, not the second event.
Yeah, I remember it mentioned, too, they went a day without air. How do you do that?
He brings up that some of their systems make up for it. So in my mind, I'm thinking that it's not fresh air. You're interjecting recycled air in with all your fresh air. Maybe never, not all fresh air, but you know what I mean. It's like you're forcing people to live on secondhand recycled air. A day's worth of it over the course of a month. I'm sure it's not one day. Then you're dead. You can't. But maybe you breathe the air twice before it's refreshed into an oxygen level that's more. Do you get what I mean there? Like if you breathe into a bag and you breathe the air out of the bag, breathe it back into the bag and then out of the bag.
Yeah.
Like people do that because it calms them down when they're having a panic attack because there's a difference in the oxygen level versus carbon dioxide level. And I'm not a doctor here, clearly, but the change in the percentages of those levels does something that helps with your panic attack. I'm assuming when he says they have a day without air, they're taking time throughout the month where they're mixing in instances of having to do that to stretch out what air they have available. Does that make sense? That's what I envisioned. That mentally is what I envisioned. I don't know how accurate that is. Certainly you can't go a day without air though. Like a full day without air, it just means people are dying every month. Like, okay. But you wouldn't want to do that at a corporate level. These are the people buying your shit. So all of a sudden you just killed everybody buying your shit because you need to, like, that's what I don't know. It's a stupid premise, but also corporate greed is a
very real thing. And
you're not going to go with my sarcastic way. That's just not a thing at all.
No.
Not relatable. Never happened.
I mean, it's real or you can pretend it isn't. There's not really a way around that. So, how do you feel about,
You didn't even let me finish with Frederick.
Oh, keep going. Sorry.
I think it's very fishy, right? That he's got enough money or sway or power to build that, where he sent his message from, right, was, I think they said 3 AU away, which, if I remember right, AU is
astronomical unit,
which is the distance between
Earth and the sun.
Yeah.
Yes.
So he's sending it from a location that is 3 Earth distances away, or Earth to sun distances away, to a pinpoint, which surprised the shit out of them. Which means that's highly advanced. And also stealthed. Sort of like the ship that nuked the crap out of Scopuli.
So you think he's a traitor? Or
I think he's playing the game. I honestly, I think he's the one playing the game.
Well, I guess we'll see.
Yeah.
Interested to meet him because, I'll be honest with you.
What was your take on him?
I don't know. I didn't form an opinion yet. I just found him to be interesting. We'll see when we get there. But
so then, who do you think the nuke ship belongs to?
I don't think it's. I don't think it belongs to a government. I think this is like a private, affair.
Like a corporate ship?
Yeah.
I could see that because her family knew about it, and when they cover her family, it's that's a major corporate entity as well.
Yeah, and her family's from Luna, which is the moon. So, yeah, we didn't really leave. We didn't really go to any particular places. I guess we were just in the belt on Ceres specifically, and on that ship.
Yeah, I have to look up where that is.
Ceres?
Yeah.
It's in the asteroid belt between Mars
I mean, I
and
know,
Jupiter.
but...
Well, I mean, it's orbiting, so it's changing position constantly. But yeah, I mean, it's... The asteroid belt is not like...
Those are obviously caught in orbit around the sun. Do they maintain a relative movement in the same way that all of the planets do?
Yeah. And it's actually... The way that the asteroid belt is depicted in, even science books is misleading. Like, none of them are near each other. You could stand on one of the asteroids and look out and not see any of them as far as your eyes.
Yeah. It's because we're looking at a 2D image, so they fill it up with rocks. But in reality, like it's
none of them are really near each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I read that, because I always wondered, too, when they send probes out. But yeah, a very minimal risk of a probe going through the asteroid belt and hitting anything. That's how widely spaced they are. So, Ceres is not much to look at, obviously. I think it's halfway in between. I think it's larger than Pluto.
I've heard that about most everything.
No, I'm wrong. So mass is 0.0128 moons. So it's about
0.128.
So it's about
1.2% of the moon.
Yeah, that's the mass though. So that's not the.
It's gotta be. Well, yeah.
All right, so here it is. All right, so in kilometers, or kilometers.
I don't care. Kilometers.
How many different? I don't know how many things I'm going to say in different ways. 964.4 radius. It looks like, unless I'm reading that incorrectly. 2.77 AU away from the sun.
Still. So that's still...
Well, that's the semi-major axis.
That's still closer to the sun than where Frederick Douglass's message from the night to the night came from.
Yeah,
that is closer to the sun than the message from Frederick Douglass was.
Yeah, so that means...
So think how fucking far away he is sending that message. Super advanced for a guy with no money and no affiliations to any large governmental... with stealth technology.
Yeah, I mean...
when were these books published?
I think the first one's 2011.
After Mass Effect, then. Okay.
Yeah, 2011, and I think one came out every year, except for the last one was delayed. Okay. So, but yeah, the crew of I guess now the Knight, I honestly didn't really find them to be, they seem like pretty generic sci-fi crew. I honestly found, I think I found more interest in Miller and Holden. Not Miller and Havelock.
Havelock? Shoot. Okay.
I guess
don't judge me, that's not how I read his name.
I'm not gonna, I mean, we're figuring out the pronunciations as we go.
Yeah.
But, yeah, Havelock.
I just said Have in my mind.
Havelock.
Like Haven. That's how I read it. But, obviously, didn't hear it, don't know for sure, no clue. But, yeah, I want to know more about his character. He is probably the most enigmatic and interesting of the characters so far.
Havelock?
Yeah.
Or Havelock?
Now, you can call it whatever you want, because I don't know my pronunciations right, or yours isn't. It was just I'm calling it out because it's interesting that you went with Have. My brain did not.
Well, I think that's because HAVE is have, so yeah. I didn't really go by that. Alright, so yeah. Havelock and Miller on Ceres Station.
Those are also the two most
Star
interesting
Helix.
characters for me.
Okay, so Ceres, the largest asteroid in the asteroid belt, obviously.
Is it really the largest?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So Josephus is his name, Josephus Miller.
I didn't catch that. I missed that.
He's a Belter born on Ceres, but he's working for the Earth Security Force there.
Yeah. So does that mean the belt belongs to Earth territory, basically?
I think everybody has like. I think
Carved
everybody has like. I don't know if you want to call it ambassador
Okay.
things, but yeah, I think that's what it is. So he's working for an Earth Security Force there. Him and
I don't remember, but I did see that.
Havelock is an Earther.
Yeah.
What they're calling people from Earth is Earthers.
Yep.
Not Earthlings. Earthers.
Terrans.
Terrans. But yeah, so he's a Belter. I believe Miller is actually played by Thomas Jane in the show, if we ever get to that.
What? Not what I pictured at all. Okay.
Well, that's why we're saving the show for last. So, but yeah, so
Ruby wants to launch the show. So we'll kick to that.
yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe the show, from what I understand, only covers the first 6 books. So the show basically ends on a cliffhanger because it was on. I believe it was on Sci-Fi Channel for a while for the first 3 seasons. Then it was canceled there. Then Amazon acquired the rights to it, made 3 more seasons, and then it got canceled again for good. Everybody likes the show. It just, I guess, wasn't popular enough for them to keep going with it.
So everyone who's seen it likes it, but it didn't draw enough people in.
Yeah, one of those cases, unfortunately.
Yeah, corporate profit.
Yeah, and then, Havelock, I guess he's not trusted by pretty much anybody, because he's an Earther that he's working for. And I guess that's the different, I guess he was given Julie Mao's case, right before...
No, Miller was.
Yeah, Miller was. They wouldn't give it to Havelock.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was given her case, but then I guess they were interrupted by the riots that broke out from that transmission from our other friends. Was the one guy just murdered somebody from Mars right in the street?
They were wearing a Martian. So I think Mars, yeah, probably, but the only way they really ever confirmed it, I think, was just that it was a Martian uniform. Some kind of Martian corporate uniform.
Yeah.
Wasn't actually confirmed that it was a Martian, but they probably can tell because they consistently describe the Belters as being abnormally thin and tall, as if gravity has never affected their skeletons.
Yeah, I think it's what?
Which again,
half a
Thomas
G?
Jane is not that tall, but okay.
I think they do something in the show.
And he's really muscular, which does not fit with the description that Miller had given. Because he's a Belter, so he's not supposed to be like that muscular, stocky, gravity-fed type.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of curious how they play it off in the show, but I guess we'll find out.
You're just going to people, probably.
The second book bleeds into, or the show bleeds into the second book, so I guess we can't watch it book for book. I guess we probably shouldn't start the show until
A few in. Yeah, that's fine.
But yeah, apparently, I don't know if you caught this, all the riot gear was missing.
Yeah.
So they were explaining that?
SWAT gear. No.
I guess that's something we'll find out
I'm
later.
assuming that's more like, again, corporate profit says, fuck staffing that shit. And then they don't know that they don't have the gear because it was never funded or something. That's my bet. But he left us on that cliffhanger. Like, the last thing we read was that they were moving in on the cops. So maybe the OPA has some people inside the force and took it. Don't know. I do love that they shoot that guy in the legs and then amputate and give him like robot legs and then throw him in jail.
I guess you're gonna need legs in jail, I guess, but
It'd make it much easier to defend yourself. Otherwise, you're just gonna be bottom bunk for somebody.
Yeah.
Stand up for yourself, man. Come on, stand up.
And I guess Havelock puts in, because I think everybody keeps looking at him in a certain way and he's feeling uncomfortable. I guess he puts in to transfer to for Protogen security.
Yeah. They called out where Protogen was in an earlier Miller chapter, but I don't remember.
Let me see if I remember. Protogen. Locations of operation. Phoebe, Luna, so the moon. Phoebe, I believe, is a moon of Saturn.
Oh, real far out. Okay.
Io.
Another moon.
Yeah, Jupiter. Thoth. Osiris. I'm not sure where they are. They're either Jupiter or Saturn's moons.
Okay.
Ganymede is obviously Jupiter's moon.
Yep.
Eros.
I think Eros is Jupiter too, isn't it? Not an astronomer.
No, I think Eris is just a near-Earth asteroid. I don't think it's.
Oh, okay.
I don't think it's. I actually think it's in between the orbit of Earth and Mars.
So it's another series.
Essentially, yeah. Not quite as large, but yeah. So that's that's pretty much the conclusion.
No, it's not even a built. It's an abnormal one.
Oh, you looked it up?
Yeah. So it's just... It is an asteroid.
Oh, near Earth. I was right. But, anything else you want to add about the whole situation with... I didn't really get... I guess the author was spending more time with the characters. Did you get like a visual, like, in representation in your mind of what the Ceres station looks like?
It seems like they built into Ceres, and like most of the rich people are on the surface or out.
Yeah.
And all of the not as rich people are more toward the core. And so there are fluctuations in how they generate gravity. And so the more toward the core you are versus the outside. But not anything where, like, he was talking about his rooms where they just make them, they change the scents. Everyone, like, perfumes their room differently. Not with perfume, but I'm using that because it's... Or sense. Paint their areas differently. So, like, Havelock's room is painted blue because it resembles the sky because he's from Earth. Whereas Miller doesn't bother with the scent at all. And doesn't bother with paint at all because he's never seen the sky. So...
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Just seems like a drab space station-y city skyscraper kind of building kind of deal with no sky, basically. I don't know if that makes sense that way. Like I picture it kind of like, remember what was it, the first Matrix where they had everyone in pods, but you get to see what the city is and it's just pods everywhere. I picture that, but the pods aren't there. Okay. It's just like rooms for people. But like, otherwise it's just very uniform. It's the same thing everywhere. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's not a very good description.
Yeah. How do you feel about Havelock and Miller? I feel like there was a lot more personality between them than. I just feel like the. I mean, again, I may warm up to them, but I feel like the crew of the night now we're kind of like a generic sci-fi crew, whereas Holden and Miller had all the personality.
Well, you know how much of a Dresden Files fan I am. And Miller strikes me to have a lot of the same characteristics that Dresden does. Maybe that's the detective-y copy kind of thing. Maybe not. But Havelock is the character I want to know more about most.
I'm kind of worried that he's just going to leave to go to Protogen and like out of the story. Maybe.
Could be. Maybe he's just serving a purpose now to build up Miller, and he doesn't even get that far. These are Martin disciples.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was thinking. And honestly, Thomas Jane, I feel, fits more of Havelock than he does.
Probably, because he's got an earth... He's an earther, as you call it. He would have, like, an earthy skeleton. He wouldn't be the tall, thin... kind of...
Yeah, let me see. Expanse.
You looking up the cast for everybody?
Thomas Jane is Joe Miller. Yeah.
Who's Havelock?
He
better be taller.
I don't see Havelock there.
Shit.
What, did you spoil something for yourself?
Yes.
Alright, well, don't say it out loud. Jay Hernandez is Dimitri, is Havelock. They said Dimitri in the show listing, but I don't remember them saying his name.
Jay Hernandez?
Yeah.
He looks very, he looks like a Hispanic Jensen Ackles.
Yeah, I guess so.
He's like very similar. like what?
Yeah. So I'm guessing...
Wait, how old is he? 44. I think Jensen Ackles is not that old. So actually Jensen Ackles just looks
Jensen
like a...
Ackles is 44.
Is he?
Well, he is now. He was like 30 at the beginning of Supernatural.
44? Shit.
Was he exactly 44?
Yes.
That's a shit.
Then I don't know.
But all right. Anything else you want to say on chapter 1? We got a good bit of discussion going. So, not chapter 1, section 1.
No.
Good.
Just that I'll have stronger opinions on everything probably after this next batch.
Next batch. All right.
It may be either this next batch or maybe the third batch. By the halfway point of the book, there's going to be clear opinions on everybody. But I'm hoping the next fifth makes me feel more strongly. There's just enough up in the air right now that...
Yeah, I feel like it was a good...
yeah, I mean, it was all interesting. And the last sentence of the last chapter from Miller, they're moving in on the cops. Like, okay, I want to keep reading, and I can't. Fuck you. But
well, I mean...
no, I know.
Right after we're done recording.
And not, like, fuck you, like, you, but, like, fuck you, writer, damn it. Why you gotta end it that way? But...
yeah, well,
I just don't have anything. There hasn't been enough to get me tied into anything yet.
Fair enough. All right. Well, so for the next section, we'll do read from chapter 11 to chapter 21. So we'll end it here for the next section.
Okay. 222.
Yep.
Which is the beginning of 22.
Yes. Yep. Coincidentally, it is, and that's the next fifth of the book.
Yeah. Cool.
So, all right. So we'll end it there. We'll come and join us for the next podcast for the second fifth of the book.